In my role working with higher ed leaders, I get to talk with folks all the time about the leaders that they get to work with. The leaders we really think are terrific, love, are helpful, we tend to not pay much attention to and we take them for granted. So if you have that leader, reach out and thank them and share that appreciation. The leaders who are an obstacle or a problem consume so much of our attention. We all want to be the first, not the second. We want to be helpful. We want to be appreciated. We want to make things smoother for the teams that we lead. However, sometimes we fall into our shadow. We fall into bad habits. We fall into old training. And today I want to share with you 7 archetypes of higher education leaders we want to watch out for, both in others and ourselves. Now, I'm going to share with you 7 archetypes of higher education leaders we can fall into. These are not helpful. They can cause all sorts of problems. It might be tempting. The easy path, there's the easy path, the helpful path, and the courageous path. The easy path would be to look at these 7 archetypes and label someone above you in the organizational chart. That would be easy to do. It might even be fulfilling. It might even be cathartic, and it won't be helpful. What would be helpful is maybe noticing one of these patterns in a leader in the organizational chart and using it as a way to empathize, to connect, to get curious, to help you navigate them or help them become an even better leader. And then there's the courageous path, which would be asking, which one of these do I fall into? On my not great days, when I'm not at my best, which one of these might I fall into? So notice where you're tempted to take the easy path and label others, where you want to be helpful to other leaders, become better leaders, and where you're courageous and willing to look at yourself. So the first archetype is the congenial colleague. These are these colleagues that are likable, engaged, they're happy to do anything, be involved with anything, they're very agreeable, and they're conflict avoidant. They don't want to disappoint anyone or upset anyone. And they tend to avoid the tough calls that leaders have to make. This is the congenial colleague. The next archetype is this expert on the rise. This is usually a faculty member with great expertise in their discipline that starts to get some notoriety for a book that sort of crosses the academic realm into popular or start getting media hits from mainstream media. Other colleagues might see this excellence and think, oh, they're terrific, they're smart, they would be a great leader, and sort of nominate them or tap them into leadership positions. The challenge is these experts think that because they're an expert in this thing, that they're just smart and they're no better than everybody else. And they don't develop that expertise in higher education. They don't develop their own leadership capacity, and they can be kind of a condescending know-it-all who's not interested in learning or understanding or unlearning. The next archetype is the pontificator. The pontificator likes to come into meetings and tell everybody all the things that they know about a thing. They like to talk about things at the 30,000 foot level. They like to talk about theory and concepts and ideas and what everybody should be doing, but they're not really interested in the realities of the problems, of the challenges, of the financial constraints, of the politics, and the human side of change. They just kind of want to come in and talk about how it should be. The next one is the corporate raider. This is someone who's had a very successful leadership role in a corporate setting and is often tapped by board members with a lot of corporate experience who don't understand why higher ed is functioning. And rather than learn, they just want someone to come in and fix higher education. They often come with a lot of really great experience, but if they're not willing to learn about higher education, they lose the context of higher ed, history, culture, mission, governance, shared decision-making, financial models, and so much more. And they can create a lot of havoc without understanding those concepts and treating this like other corporate entities. The fifth one is the climber. This is a leader who's very personally ambitious, polished, and always looking to move up every 2 to 3 years. They're very focused on their self-promotion more than organizational leadership. They often have a great Instagram account full of pictures of themselves, not the students or the people who they're leading with. They take all the credit and lay all the blame. They remove any leaders who threaten their competence or genuine relationships because they see it as a threat. And they usually leave after a year or two. in a swath of devastation that takes years to recover from because they have cleared out all the really good people with competence. Number 6 is the overnight expert. This is often a faculty member who is tapped or nominated for an associate dean role, is in that role for 2 to 3 years, and then writes a book about how to lead in higher education. They bring their expertise and have a lot of confidence in their expertise and can be dismissive of others' expertise and experience coming in. And finally, number 7 is the workhorse. This is the leader that is always busy, always hustling, always reactive, always problem solving, always in a state of crisis. They want to show how committed, reliable, and indispensable they are by doing everything. And they end up doing everyone else's job without leading the organization, which is what is needed from that role. They're constantly drowning in tasks, feel underwater, fixing everything, and then not creating the clarity, purpose, and alignment that we need leaders to lead. So there's real quick 7 archetypes for different higher ed leaders. Again, the easy path is finding one and labeling leaders that you work with. The helpful path is maybe helping you use this to understand, to empathize, to be curious about leaders and help them improve their leadership. The courageous path would be looking at which of these might you fall into. So, 3 questions for reflection. If this sounds like one of the leaders that you work with, how might you use it to connect with them, to engage, to help navigate their leadership or improve them with clarity, compassion, and effectiveness? Which of these archetypes might others be tempted to associate with you? How might that be fair and unfair? And how can your awareness of this strengthen your leadership and help you evolve your leadership to be closer to what you aspire and what the people you lead need? I love helping leaders think through and reflect, asking them the tough questions, helping them recognize what is within them with greater awareness, and then bring that to help them bring them closer to who they aspire to be as leaders. If you think conversations like this might be able to help you or your executive leadership team, let's connect.